A very warm welcome everyone, my name is Nick and this is another top 10 rundown, this time the 10 greatest horizontal shoot 'em ups on the Commodore Amiga of all time, and that is according to me. So if you've got a different order then please put it in the comment section below. All these games come out on the original Amiga 500 or upgraded to 1 meg, so we won't be seeing unfortunately any games from the AGA Chip-set or any public domain games, so let's get going. At number 10 on the list, starting us off, is Blood Money. All of these games in the top 10 are good games. Published by Psygnosis in 1989, it's a sequel to a game called Menace, which we're yet to review on the channel, but that didn't make the top 10. There are 4 stages to this game on different planets, and in each one you control a different ship. This one we're looking at is a helicopter, but there's a submarine and a spaceman as well. Quite a nice game. Collecting the coins after you destroy things is a good way to get yourself killed, and those coins you use to go into shops which turn up every now and again on the map to get upgrades in your weaponry. A nice cute game, can go up and down, but essentially it's a sideways scroller. Good music at the start and it's nice and gentle but very difficult. There's a shop there marked called Equipment. Quite an early game. All of these games range between the late 80s and the very early 90s. Little bit of a puzzle element to it as well. Saint Dragon, you control a cyborg dragon there, and you can use that towel to your best of abilities tactically to kill the enemy. You only get killed if the guns hit the actual headpiece. Lots of great upgrades in this, published by Storm in 1990 and based on the arcade cabinet by Jaleco in 1989. Cyborg dragon on different planets trying to defeat everything. The power-ups come thick and fast. Looks a little bit basic compared to the other ones on this list, but well worthy of 9th place, and I'm glad I've reviewed it. Saint Dragon, not to get confused with a vertical scrolling shoot 'em up called Dragon Spirit, which we included in last week's top 10, so check that out, the top 10 vertical shooters. Good end of level bosses here, moves quite fast, but as I say, there are other ones that I prefer. Number 9. In 8th place is R-Type, R-Type 2 I should say. These games are very difficult. A lot of these horizontal scrollers are, but R-Type particularly so. Based on the arcade cabinet by Irem in 1989. This R-Type 2 is published by Activision in 1991. Very difficult. By holding down the fire button you can produce a stronger shot, but that does leave you vulnerable for a set amount of time. There are upgrades there. The ship comes with different parts to collect. Now what was copied by a lot of games in this sort of like time is you have to go up and down sort of like tunnels here. If you crash into the scenery, the ship will explode as well. Great music on this game, it's an all-time classic. There was R-Type 3 which came out in the Game Boy Advance, didn't make it to the Amiga, but good classic arcade action which was to inspire lots and lots of games to follow. In 7th place we've got the original R-Type, which I think is slightly better than R-Type 2. Again difficult, but not as difficult as the sequel. The same sort of like shooting mechanisms involved, posed by Electric Dreams in 1989, so different to the people that did R-Type 2. The arcade cabinet is from 1987 by Nintendo and Irene. Very difficult games these, so R-Type's really for hardcore gamers who've got bored of having it very easy and want a really tough challenge. Will reward you the longer that you play, but many things to shoot you. Quite easy to get destroyed through weapons that you haven't actually noticed at the time. Some tight tunnels to try and get down throughout the whole time, but very exciting. Can have 2 players, it's a turn-based thing. Goes without saying it's very tricky, but I've said it 4 or 5 times. So in 7th place is R-Type. Good stuff. In 6th place is a game very heavily influenced by R-Type. It could almost be R-Type 3. It's Z Out, published by Rainbow Arts in 1990. It's a sequel to X Out, which I haven't reviewed yet. It's a small advancement on that. As I say, not very original. It's very R-Type-ish, but slightly better than R-Type and R-Type 2, only because I find it slightly easier. Good music again, like all of these. I do prefer horizontal scrollers to vertical scrolling shoot 'em ups. Seem to be able to get more in play, and they tend to be a bit more frantic. Side-on view is the way to go, in my opinion. Now after this we'll come to the top 5, so the super horizontal scrollers that everyone should have in their collection if they have a Commodore Amiga or play it just for emulation as well. If you differ from this order, then let me know below. But it's all about nostalgia and memories, and your order's probably governed by games you owned back in the day and your memories of them. 5th place, a tremendous game by Psygnosis, is Agony from 1992. Only come out on the Commodore Amiga. What's brilliantly inventive about this game, you don't control a ship, you control this owl, which is the company's logo. Nice flapping wings. Whenever you die, you turn into a bundle of feathers and crash into the ground. Varied stages. Look at the graphics on this. A moving background, which was rare for the Commodore Amiga back in the day. And they've really pulled out all the stops here. No massive explosions like the other games there, so it does has its own feel to it. A very Psygnosis looking game and really, really good. Music is absolutely awesome too, but there are better ones to come, so I didn't quite make it in the top 4, but a brilliant game to have in your collection if you own a Commodore Amiga. Check out the action of that owl. There's no other owl shoot 'em up games that I'm aware of. If there are, then let me know. In 4th, a lot of people will have this in the first place who owned it back in the day. It's the amazing Project X by Team 17 in 1992. Unlike a lot of horizontal shooters, you do have a choice of a number of different ships with different upgrades and different weaponry. The backgrounds on these are absolutely stunning as we go through space. Asteroids storm to navigate to, a bit like Empire Strikes Back you could say, the film. And lots of varied enemies to attack. I think there might be a blue ball coming up here as well. It's all about tactics, finding the best way to shoot things, but look, it does look absolute quality, this. Awesome. Back in 1992, the early 90s on the Commodore Amiga, this was really punching above its weight. Fantastic full place, some people might have it even higher. Brilliant game, or ultra difficult again though, like a lot of them were.
Select now for guns.
Select now for guns. Lots of upgrades here, it's knowing when to upgrade. In 3rd place, Disposable Hero, which I didn't own back in the day. Again, very, very difficult, but it's like a really advanced R-Type. The graphics on this are absolutely amazing. It's been produced by Gremlin Graphics in 1993 to give us the Lotus trilogy of games. Like Blood Money, which we had at number 10, you can collect upgrades and coins, which you park the ship into shops at various points and get upgrade weaponry. And you need that to actually progress, because if this single fire thing we're using here, it's not really doable here. But look at the texture of the graphics and the attention to detail. Absolutely amazing. Varied stages as well. Good music, good sound, and fantastic end-of-level bosses. As I say, you definitely need the upgrades on the shop, otherwise it's just too tricky to navigate around. Making the top 3, Disposable Hero, and the hero in this game is very disposable indeed. 2nd place, APIDYA, published by Blue Byte in 1992, not based on any arcade games. Fantastic music again, like a lot of these have. It borrows a lot of its shooting from the idea of R-Type. You hold down the fire button, it will release a missile. You control a bee, like Agony you had an owl, this one's a bee instead of a ship. You've been turned into a bee by some wizard and you must rescue your girlfriend who's a bit ill. Yes, one of those. Great end-of-level bosses, including a mole and various other animals, killer snails as you can see here. Really inventive game, really novel game, and I've had this in 2nd place. Really hard to pick a number 1 out of this because there's a lot of good horizontal scrolling shooters on the Commodore Amiga. Absolutely amazing times, the early 90s. Very few people would own all of these, but now you're a bit older looking back, hopefully you can get hold of all of them to compare which ones are the best, but it does test your reflexes. Now, number 1, Silkworm. Isn't the most advanced games by all means compared to others on the list, published by Virgin in 1989 and based on the arcade cabinet by Tecmo from 1988. Squib was a vertical shooter come after this, but this was classic horizontal, and this is the game I probably played the most. It's the most playable out of all of the ones on the list. It's not overly difficult. If player 2's there, they control a jeep along the bottom of the screen, and player 1 controls a helicopter. A number of varied levels. It's classic retro action, and this feels the most retro to me. It's back to basics, a basic 2D background, a scrolling foreground, and absolutely awesome ender level bosses, and they're very classic. You can't get more classic than Silkworm, and that's why I have it at #1 on my list, and it's my go-to game when I think of horizontal shooters. Absolutely brilliant, but all these ones in the top 10 are, in my opinion. So I hope you like having a look at the top 10 greatest horizontal scrolling shooters of all time according to myself. If you've got your own order, then please put them below. It's all about sharing memories and nostalgia. So thanks for watching that video as always. If you haven't already, please consider subscribing because that always helps me. Until next time, take great care of yourself and a very fond goodbye.
Goodbye.